House of the Dragon is at an all-time high following the show's record-breaking debut. The main plot beats in George R.R. Martin's 2018 novel Fire and Blood are already somewhat clear to those who have read the source material. Or perhaps they believe they do. House of the Dragon, like Game of Thrones before it, may deviate from its source material, which is very few and reliant on eyewitness accounts from many years after the series' events. The daughter has been proclaimed heir, the brother has been exiled, and the king is yet one missing pulse away from starting a civil war in the Seven Kingdoms. 6 months later, the second installment of House of the Dragon picks up with a smaller staff opening at the Red Keep, a knight in the Kingsguard. Otto Hightower, one of numerous knightly candidates selected by the Hand, is picked by the small council to fill the position. The method may seem administrative, but Princess Rhaenyra, Millie Alcock, will use it to her advantage as she adjusts to her position as the next in line for the throne, because it is now obvious that she wants to be queen. Lord Corlys Velaryon, Steve Toussaint, the head of Westeros' biggest navy, interrupts the council and protests about hostile actions against his ships at the Stepstones, a group of islands south of King's Landing. The antagonism is due to pirates, who are thought to be supported by the Free Cities, which are independent political units across western Essos and under the rule of Westeros' reigning house. In order to combat the pirates led by Craghas Dreher, the crabfeeder, Lord Corlys requests that the king take military action. Advisors to the king advise against going to war with the Free Cities. Lord Corlys responds by emphasizing Westeros' frailty, which is demonstrated by Daemon Targaryen, Matt Smith, the king's brother, who is currently occupying Dragonstone with his army in an act of rebellion that verges on insurrection. Before Rhaenyra, the council's cup carrier, interjects and suggests they fly dragons over the Stepstones as a show of force, King Viserys, Paddy Considine, claims he has already dispatched envoys to the Free Cities and the situation appears to be resolved. Her offer is received with awkward silence, and she is then told to pick the new Kingsguard knight, a move designed to chastise her for being so foolish, but which actually serves to empower her. She instantly disregards Otto Hightower's recommendation to pick a Kingsguard from one of several powerful families as he offers it outside the council chamber. Sir Criston Cole, Fabian Frankel, the only candidate with military experience, and the knight who defeated Daemon in the earlier tournament, is the one she ultimately chooses. He is not of noble birth, which he shares with the army of a future Targaryen queen, Rhaenyra's descendant Daenerys, who would later forge her alliance using slaves. The rest of the episode will focus on Rhaenyra's mounting annoyance with the groups of men trying to limit her power. We surmise that Viserys has been spending time with Alicent Hightower, Emily Carey, since the death of the queen for several months. She is there at Otto Hightower's request in order to try to seduce the king and bear the next heir. Rhaenyra confides in Alicent about her concerns regarding the king's upcoming marriage. The two then take a moment to pray together, which confirms their presumptive romantic attraction to one another. Viserys meets with Lord Corlys and Rhaenys, Eve Best. In order to allay rumors that the crown is unstable, Corlys first offers his daughter as a bride to Viserys after apologizing for his earlier outburst. The most powerful households in Westeros would be united by the marriage. Later, Viserys discusses this potential union with his Hand, Hightower, who disapproves and uses the loss of his own wife to try to convince Viserys not to wed out of duty. When meeting with the girl, who is now just 12 years old, Viserys struggles with the decision and feels uneasy. Rhaenys and Rhaenyra engage in a verbal duel on the likelihood of a woman becoming queen, as Rhaenys tries to convince Rhaenyra to give up hope and accept her position. Once more feeling confident, Rhaenyra declares that she won't. Alicent and Viserys were meeting when Hightower enters. Viserys had confided in her his reluctance to marry a young girl. Viserys learns that Daemon has stolen a dragon egg in order to leave in the crib of his next child, a customary Targaryen tradition. The little council considers Daemon's invitation to the king's wedding, which he leaves as a message, to be offensive. The egg that Daemon took belonged to Viserys' son Balon, who eventually died and was made fun of by his uncle. The theft signals a desire to pass succession to Daemon. Hightower offers to bring an attachment and go to Dragonstone to get the egg. He encounters a stubborn Daemon and his alleged wife Mysaria at Dragonstone. Hightower and Daemon make fun of one another. Before Daemon's dragon appears, both parties pull swords in an intimidation move akin to Rhaenyra's advice in the opening scene. Rhaenyra and Daemon are presented to us as similar foes. Rhaenyra flies in on her own dragon, confronts Daemon, and takes back her dead brother's egg when it seems as though Hightower must flee without obtaining the egg. Again, Rhaenyra's appearance alludes to Daenerys, who similarly disrupted numerous power-brokering moments with such aerial force. Mysaria rushes off after finding Daemon lied about being pregnant. She explains to Daemon that she is with him just to be freed from fear and he must retreat to ensure her safety. Again, a Targaryen uses their power to free the oppressed. Rhaenyra's alliance with her non-noble partners will probably be thwarted by Daemon's bond with Mysaria. Rhaenyra receives criticism from Viserys for straying back in King's Landing. He then acknowledges that he is unable to replace the queen's position. Rhaenyra seems to give him the go-ahead to make his decision. Viserys makes his marriage choice known later in the small council meeting. Alicent Hightower. Corlys storms off in a rage. Rhaenyra is upset and departs as well. Similar to the moment of Baelin's death in episode 1, the moment becomes a point of fracture. Viserys has started to alienate the two most potent characters in the narrative, Corlys and Rhaenyra, by selecting Hightower. After making the choice, we see Corlys meet with Daemon and propose that they band together in order to conquer the Stepstones militarily. This would safeguard Corlys' navy and give Daemon's claim to power some weight. The uprising has now formally started. At the end of episode 2, the first true villain of the Game of Thrones prequel series is introduced. The crab feeder is finally revealed in episode 2 climax when he feeds the corpses of Westerosi sailors to crabs, albeit he was originally alluded to in House of the Dragon's premiere as Corlys expressed his worries about the problems in the Stepstones. The antagonist, Craghas Dreher, refers to himself as the Prince Admiral of the Triarchy while concealing strange burns on his body and wearing a mask over his face. The wealth of Corlys Velaryon suffers as a result of him commanding the Triarchy's fleets and his determination to take the Stepstones. The Rogue Prince and the Sea Snake are likely to destroy the crab feeder before the midway time jump in House of the Dragon Season 1, even though it will be a major enemy for Daemon Targaryen.